Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Thank you. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. And maybe you find something in it and it will help you. I was asked to give a hint how to push away the ego. So this one is about the ego. Bad idea. Whatever you fight or push will fight back and push back. So there were two ancient ways of our spiritual predecessors on the spiritual path. They used these two methods up to now, and I tried both, and they are not working for me. So you have to find it out on yourself. The first way is, I call it the Asian way, to discipline your ego or to overcome even by killing it by hardcore Zen meditation, hours and hours sitting in silence and so on. No, it didn't work for me. I tried it. The second one is more the way of Rudolf Steiner, the Anthroposophical Society, and Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. They tried to educate the ego and fill it with a lot of spiritual knowledge. And most often, what's coming out of that is a big, fat, blown up, even spiritually educated ego that's knowing everything better and has questions and sees discrepancies, and it won't accept to give itself away to the bigger you, your soul, your divine self, however you want to call that, because it knows so much and it thinks it's in charge and it knows everything and knows everything better. So didn't work for me as well. And maybe you met some of these blown up spiritual educated egos as well along your path, because that happens to give you a mirror. And I'm still trying and working out on that. My personal opinion, I don't know whether it's the truth. I'm still finding out and doing my little experiments with myself and my ego and so on. I think it needs to be healed and it needs to be acknowledged in the whole package of human being. Because whenever you put something in the corner and say, oh, that's bad, I don't like the ego, you're doing no good. How would you feel? Try to imagine yourself in the shoes of your ego or just another person. How would you feel if somebody wants to kill you, to overcome you, thinks badly of you? Well, you will fight back. I can only explain the ego with some of the old tales, Just pick one of them, like Sleeping Beauty. Everything about the spiritual path is encoded in old tales if you know how to understand and read them. There's this common picture about the king, the wise and just king in a fairy tale, or the sleeping princess, which is the analogy of the soul sleeping, or the wise king being absent. And while the soul is absent or not acknowledged, the servant takes the place of the king. The servant is the ego, and it tries its very best, but it's just a servant. It can never fulfill the task of the soul. So you got to know this. And if you don't know that you have an ego and you have a divine soul, that's what Our world is not telling us. Mostly they're telling us more or less make everything with your ego, and you got to be rational and logically and so on. So that's the domain of the ego. It's always attached to the brain. It thinks after a while it is the king and it's his or her kingdom. And when the soul comes back, the king comes back, or the sleeping princess, the sleeping soul is awakening, it doesn't want to leave the throne. That's just normal. It thinks it runs the show. And if you don't know about this other part of yourself, the higher self, the soul, however you want to call it, then you can only aim for the material things in this world, because you don't know that there is something else existing that has more knowledge and is bigger. And it's not talking in words and constructs and thoughts and sentences like the ego does, because it's attached to the brain. The soul is talking in pictures and feelings, vibration. So if I say to you now, imagine a chair, you will all have the image of a chair inside your head or your inner eye, your vision. And it might vary. It might be a very simple wooden stool, can be an upholstered armchair, or it can even be a throne. I would advise you, be careful if you create your stool, your chair, like a throne, because the ego thinks it runs the show and it's all about bragging. And I can only recommend go and have a look at Suzanne Spooner and her website. She's got a wonderful video there from a hypnosis session in QHHT where she allowed the ego to talk. The video is called Chat with the Ego. And if you listen to that, you get a pretty good idea about the ego. It's bragging all the time, what it all knows, what it all did and is doing, and so on. So that's one of the criteria how you can discern your ego mind from the divine self or the soul. The soul will never brag. And the soul will also not talk negatively to you, like, oh, you did this wrong, you still didn't get it, and things like that. Or you're not worthy. We have so many brainwashed beliefs, false beliefs and concepts. And it's so easy to get lost in all of that. Stick with the simple things. I do that to better understand and get the bigger picture. The ego is not a bad thing. It's within the whole package, and we got to deal with it. And better you deal with it in love and kindness, acknowledgement, and accept it, than fighting and pushing it, because it will fight and push back. And that makes it even worse for you as the experiencer of the whole thing. So coming back to the two ways that our spiritual predecessors tried, they may work for you. Try it. I tried both of them and they didn't work for me. So I am on my way to look for a better solution. And I started more or less studying the ego, and my mediumship training was a wonderful tool to get a better idea about the ego. Because they say, more or less, the scientists say, your brain, and the ego is attached to the brain, your brain is sitting in the skull in the darkness, and it needs your five senses to collect data and information about this so-called outside world, which does not really exist because we create it, and we are in this simulation that's mirroring to us what's inside. And we still don't get it. We think it's that other person out there doing or saying something. No, that person is just like a mirror showing you what is inside of yourself, which you are not aware of, or you never had a look at that. So it's kind of the dark corners about ourselves that we don't know much about, or we don't like to look there, we avoid it, or we're totally unaware of it, like the black spot. So the brain and the ego is sitting in the dark skull, knowing nothing and trying to get information to understand reality or the world. And no matter how much data you put into the brain and the ego with use of the five senses, it will always, how to put that? It will create kind of illegal links. Like, for example, if you meet a person from Germany and that person is nice, so you tend to think all Germans are nice, but they are not. And I could have chosen other people of the world, doesn't matter. It's not about the Germans or the Americans or the Italians or the French or the Britain. It's about, if just imagine if an ET would appear in front of you and you're not shocked because you know they're real. And this ET would ask you about humanity, about the humans. How are the humans? You cannot say they're all bad or they're all good. My personal opinion is 80% is good and 20% are the foul eggs in every basket. So that's the whole package. And these illegal conclusions or links that the brain and the ego is relying on to form a picture of the reality or the world outside, they are not always right. They are very often wrong. Well, Spirit, I only say they told me, you get it mostly wrong. Then you can be frustrated or sad because you don't get it. But this is not helpful. Just ask, well, how can I handle this better in a positive manner to gain more insight and walk another step on my spiritual path? So, the ego seems very difficult, but in the end, it's very simple. Many ancient cultures also got this wrong because it's more or less the sacrifice in free will of your ego on the altar of your inner divine light. And the sacrifice thing, many cultures and many people get wrong. So in the ancient times, they started to show gratitude, to give some offerings to their gods or whatever you like to call that. If it were fruits or things from the nature, okay. But I'm out when it's about living sentient beings, if you offer beings or even humans. Because that's just, to me, feels so wrong, and I know it's the wrong way, but you can make up your own opinion about that. I think it's about sacrificing your own ego, and that's not a bloody task or something very violent. It is a point where your ego really comes to the point, I don't know. I don't know how it works. So I better step away and let this bigger me, my soul, my higher self, take over, and I allow that it makes something in my life, makes something happen, or chooses a path, a direction, and I can have an eye on that, and I can have the experience that whenever I am able to step away, just take a step back and acknowledge I don't know. Because that's the best position you can have, like Socrates said, I know that I don't know anything. That's the perfect basis to come to more knowledge. Because if you think you know it all, then you're closed. Nothing can come in there, neither good nor bad. But if you acknowledge, I don't know how it works, then you're more or less opening yourself up so that higher and better and fruitful knowledge can come to you to assist you and help you on your path through your life. So, I don't know whether I ever will be able to tell everything, because whenever I stop the video and I don't even know how to cut it or stop it and do things with that, it has to be this one shot, and if not, I just delete it. And I started worrying with my ego, because when I stopped the video, after that I had another inspiration. Oh, I forgot to tell this and I digressed there and blah, 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 blah. That's all ego. But it started to make me nervous. And a funny thing happened. The Elohim that I channel, they told me, well, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter that you are the talking head in the video and you are talking and trying to share some experience or some knowledge, as long as you, and not only me, it's not about me, I know that, it's about everyone, all of us, as long as we come from a place of the heart or the soul. They, the higher consciousnesses, will always put in some energy. And what triggers you are not my words, are not the concepts I'm talking about. It's about the energy that's maybe shining through my soul, my heart. I don't know. I can't perceive that. But they allowed me to see how this looks from the other side of the veil, because they don't see the bodies, they don't see the person. And they showed me that when somebody is talking and coming from the place of the heart and the soul, the energy coming from out of the mouth while the person was talking in three-dimensional terms, one word after the other, and it takes time. And in duality, you say something, the contrary is also truth. So there's discrepancy, and you will never be able to express it, because in this earthly 3D realm, you cannot grab it. You can only allow to be grabbed by it. So they showed me that the energy coming out from the mouth of the person, coming from the place of the heart and the soul, is like a braid of white, milky white, cloudy energy that's ornamented. And then they come in and they put around some kind of golden cord around this milky white braid of energy. And they say, if someone comes from the heart and the soul, we're always with you, and we will give our energy into that by the heart and the soul of that person. And that's what people feel, although they don't understand it and they don't get it, and they run after the person and think, it's this master, this guru, he's talking the truth. No, he allowed it for a moment, and a bit of the whole truth could come through him or her. So much for that. Surely I forgot something, but I hope the energy is working. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much, beautiful souls. And they even told me why I choose this beautiful souls as an address in the beginning and the end of my videos. I didn't know, I wasn't aware. I thought I just like that expression and I wanted to start a bit differently. And they said, like in the old tales and many old scriptures, the force or the energy, the divine light energy, is talking to the souls and not to the egos. So now I know why I always say beautiful souls. I'm addressing more to your soul than to your ego. And the ego is always listening in like a little child and gets things wrong, like if a child, small child, listens to the arguing of the parents and gets frightened and thinks, oh, maybe they're going to divorce and it's all my fault. It's because of me. I did something wrong. So here we go again. Ego cannot understand the full picture. It can only get parts of it, and then it makes illegal conclusions, assumptions, and false interpretations and gets itself into a mess. And then you sit there, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, just open up and invite your soul to come to you and help you. So here I stop now. Whew. Thank you very much for watching, beautiful souls. I wish you all the best for the good new year, and be healthy, be happy, very important. If we're under stress and unrelaxed, it's even harder to invite the soul. So, blessings. Wish you all the best. Love and light. Bye.